Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have a very special show for you today. I have somebody that I've been following and actually probably stalking for the last 6 weeks or so on Instagram. She has a great page. It goes by Investing with Kim. Let's welcome Kim to the show. How you doing, Kim?
Good. How are you? I'm so excited to be here today.
Oh yeah, this should be a lot of fun for both of us, I hope. Why don't you quickly introduce the world to who is Kim, what is investing for Kim, and we'll just start asking you some questions.
Sure. So I started investing with Kim back in October. My day job is as a software engineer, and I've always been into personal finance ever since I was like 18 years old. I remember when I first opened my Roth IRA, I told all my friends, and they're like, "Why are you saving for retirement? You're only 18." So I kind of, for the next few years, I'm like, personal finance is kind of a weird thing to get into when you're this young. But then when I found the debt-free community and
Mhm.
financial independence, I'm like, I'm not weird. This is completely normal. So I just made the jump, started an Instagram, and just posting whatever comes to my mind.
There you go. Well, I follow it. I look at it probably, if not every day, certainly every other day, because I like what you're doing.
Thank you for
And
this.
again, you're putting out actuals, which is fantastic. You want to talk about your goals, kind of what you've done so far, and we'll go into some questions
Mhm.
from there.
Yeah, so when I first started the Instagram, I knew I wanted to kind of put a face to the name.
Hmm.
I didn't want to be anonymous, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking at first because I'm posting my income, all of my goals, and when my friends started to follow me in real life, I kind of was afraid of a little bit of backlash, kind of treating me a little differently.
Hmm.
But actually, it's been the opposite. It kind of helps them open up about their finances, and they're like, "Oh, I see that you're doing this. Can you help me?" And that's exactly the goal of this page.
Yeah, and I can see why it would be working. So first off, you're not weird for thinking about personal finance. You might be unusual, but let's not
But
throw
I want it to
weird.
be usual now. I want it to be normal.
Yeah, it is. It is very odd that, I am several decades older than you, but even my circle of influence, we don't talk about money,
Hmm.
right? And I think that's a shame, right?
Hmm.
Because, a lot of stress, at least in my personal history, is all money related. So, starting young, setting goals and things of that nature. You care to share your kind of 10-year goals with us here? Obviously, I looked at your page, so I know them, but
Okay,
you want to talk
okay.
about them?
Well, yeah, I will. Let me pull it up really quickly.
Sure.
So I am always thinking very long term and maybe a
Mhm.
little bit too long term, but I don't think so because you definitely need to have some sort of destination in mind
Mhm.
so that whatever you do today can kind of go towards that destination. You
Mhm.
can't just think about what am I going to do today? I don't know what it'll result in the future. No,
Right.
you need to, for me, you need to have that target. And even if it's not completely a straight line, that's
Mhm.
totally fine. But every once in a while, just reevaluate and think, okay, this is what I want in the future. This is what makes my heart like makes me excited. So what can I be doing today to realign myself with those goals?
Mhm.
So I pulled up my 10-year roadmap right here.
Yeah.
And my first 1 year goals, I first started getting into real estate a few years ago, but
Mhm.
it didn't really go into overdrive until last year when I started this Instagram and started following more people.
Mhm.
So this year, I definitely want to buy my first rental property and kind of burr it.
Mhm.
Um, I put it kind of close in the beginning of the year because I want to focus all of my energy this quarter into finding a place
Mm.
and running the numbers and just jumping in. I know that maybe I've educated myself as much as I can, but I can't just keep reading about it. I need to do something. And even if it turns out terribly, I think that's fine because I have confidence in myself that I can navigate whatever life throws at me, and we'll just figure it out when we get there. But I can't just be at the edge this whole time, just like looking at people swimming and being like, oh gosh, it'd be so cool to be there. I just gotta jump in, right?
Jump in. Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, so real estate aside, I have some personal goals for this year, which is get promoted, be a technical lead, because I don't want to quit my job. I am really lucky that I'm good at my job and I like my job. So I want to do that.
Mhm.
Let's talk about more. long-term goals. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I want to have at least 10 investment properties. So if you go onto my Instagram, you see like this little blurb, it says 30 units by 30.
Yeah.
And I remember when I thought about it, I was like, oh, wow, that sounds so cool. I just wrote it down. It's kind of like the Forbes 30 under 30,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'll get there. So I'll be like 30 units by 30.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and I want to be an accredited investor that has its own set of requirements. So I think that's a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely 10 plus years. I know that I want to continue being in the tech field. Since there are so very few women in leadership roles in tech, I definitely want to aspire to that level. So to help inspire other people to do the same. So that's why I want to stay in the tech field. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess I should know this, but I don't. Are you in California on the East Coast? Where are you?
I am in Washington, but I am from California.
Okay. All right. So Washington State, not DC.
Yes, Washington State.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so we're on the same time zone. Okay, now the Instagram message just makes sense. I'm like, I thought she was in the East Coast. Okay, I get it now. Very cool. One of the things you said early on about the Burr Project, I want to go back to, and actually, it's one of your posts that I wrote down. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start, and that's. I think everybody needs to kind of hear that. But when you say that, I mean, you probably feel something when you say things like that, and you look at that quote. You want to talk about that a little bit? Because a lot of people are stuck right there.
Yeah, it's a very common problem. I feel it too, because you're always looking for that perfect deal, the one that's going to cash flow immensely, that's not going to have any problem tenants or anything, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the reality. So I'm just saying, just buy the first property where at least you can cover the pity, and some buffer. It doesn't have to be the best deal in the world, but you're going to learn so much from that first deal, right? Yeah. Much more than reading about other successful deals. So that's what I feel when I look at that.
Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, I've done, I don't know, I actually don't know, but well over 100 deals, both sides, buy and sell side, and I'm still learning, right?
Yeah.
So getting into a deal, skinning your knees, getting your hands dirty, maybe losing a little bit of money, maybe. But real estate is pretty forgiving if you hold it long enough. If you're going to go do Burr, the thing that I would coach you up on is really get tight on your refi. And more importantly, is it okay that you can't refi out all your money, right? You're in tech, so maybe you have a buffer, just round numbers. Let's say you buy it for 200, you spend 50, so you're into it 250, it appraises for 300, but you only can Burr out 210. Is that a horrible thing? No, because you left 40K in the deal? No, you've probably learned a ton of things. Assuming that's the position you're in, awesome. But if you need to borrow private or hard money and you need all the money back, be very, very careful. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. So actually, great thing that you bring that up. So I had that quote in mind, and I'm part of some deal lists, and I saw one in Tennessee. It was around 80K, and I was like, oh, this could possibly work. And I actually applied for a HELOC on my current home, and I also got pre-approved for hard money. But when I ran the numbers, I didn't completely factor in the interest of the HELOC and of the hard money. So I sent it to one of my coworkers who is also into real estate, and he was kind of like, I would run your numbers one more time. And I'm like, okay, I ran it, and I was like, oh, this does not cash flow at all.
Ouch.
Yeah, but you can get out of that. But yeah. I was kind of in that mindset, maybe too much, like, let's just jump in, but you have to be careful a little.
Yeah, be very careful. And this is an interesting conversation, because actually I just put out a video like 2 hours ago, because I brought two different investors, one on Wednesday, one on Saturday, yesterday, down to Fresno, my market. And both of them on the way back were like, I want to buy 5 houses tomorrow. I'm like, whoa, slow down. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you have to use it, right? You've got to learn your market. My hope for you, Kim, is you're really, like you said, Tennessee, right? I hope you're researching Tennessee.
Yeah.
You're not, are you spreading yourself too thin? Are you like looking at 5 different markets, or is Tennessee like the market for you?
Yeah, great point. So part of my little mastermind group, they really told me you need to narrow down,
Okay,
because
good.
right now I'm feeling a little bit of fear of missing out, that
Yeah.
FOMO, if you will. So every time people say, "Oh wow, this market is great. Oh, Detroit is great," da, 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 and then I
Yeah.
just keep looking at so many of them, and I haven't really narrowed down my criteria.
Mm.
Um, and I thought I did, but I still have some work to do on that.
All right. Well, hey, I've been doing this a long time. Let's see if we can help you with that. What is your criteria today?
My criteria today, oh, that's a terrible question when I told you I didn't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you knew, but you didn't
Oh,
know.
I thought I knew. I was like, oh, for now, let's start with single family home and
Okay.
class B neighborhoods, at
Okay.
least 2 bedrooms, that kind of stuff.
That's
But
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Okay. So you first pick your asset type, which is single family homes. Awesome. That's actually what I recommend today, because multifamily is ridiculously priced.
Mhm,
I think the thing you should be buying is what offers you the most exits, which is, more than 2 bedrooms,
mhm,
likely 3 or 4.
mhm,
Um, in most states, at least 1.5 or 2 baths, right?
mhm. Right.
If it's
Yeah.
possible, right?
Mhm,
Just to be clear, I own a lot of homes with 1 bathroom, because that's all they built in the 50s.
mhm.
Um, so that's good. Then everybody talks about, class B neighborhood, but in today's world where real estate is so hot, people just lose it. They go, "Oh, this is class C plus, or that's B minus." Just stop lying to yourselves.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess what I would tell you to think about is, because I could see already, again, sort of seeing your future, you're a little, I don't want to say distracted, because you are so focused, but you've got to find a market. What I would tell you is, you need to find a market you're okay traveling to twice a year,
Right.
right? Which is, I mean, just to pick some of the, maybe that's not Detroit. Maybe
Mhm.
that's not, I don't know. But I think you've got to get down to a market, and I think you've got to research it for 30 or 45 days, and then just let all the other shiny objects disappear,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
You do have the right mindset. You are goal oriented, but
Mhm.
right now the shiny objects are
Yes.
distracting you.
Yes, for
Does that
sure.
make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I feel, and I could feel it myself, so I should kind of cool it a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you can look for is I am very nervous about the central of the US,
Mhm,
because I've invested for 20 years.
mhm.
And what makes me concerned is what happens to those markets when unemployment goes from 3.5 to 7,
Right.
right? It may not do that this year, next year, the year after, but if you're going to hold a house for 30 years, it will happen,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Um, so I would research those markets, whatever market you pick. And again, I don't suggest markets, but whatever you pick, do yourself a favor, look at that market in 2000,
Mhm.
2008, and 2015, just to see what happened.
Okay.
Because that will
Okay.
give you comfort.
Mhm.
Because most markets in the country were kind of flat, right?
Mhm.
Not too up, not too down, but some went way up and some went way down. And,
Mhm.
and you don't want to be surprised.
Right.
That would be my advice.
Yeah. That's
Um,
really awesome. Thank you.
of course. The other thing I just think is so awesome about you, again, is you're sharing actuals.
Mhm.
You just did a 2019 to 2020 kind of year to date comparison. I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, she's actually putting out some real stuff.
Yeah, it's funny, those posts that all I do is I just share my numbers. They get so many shares and people are saving, and I'm like, what do my numbers have to do with you? But I love it, you know? Um, and I know I'm kind of an anomaly because I have tech job and I didn't have any student debt when I graduated. But that's just the thing. You can't be exactly like me.
Yeah.
And I want to show you, you definitely cannot be exactly like me. You can be way better. You're
Yeah.
not in the same place, and that's totally fine. But we should all be making progress.
Yes.
That's the point of those posts.
And I totally agree. I think I actually report my goals every week on my channel, right? I have different financial health goals, all these things, but I think it is so important. I share them every Sunday. It's actually the video I did right before this one is, all right, guys, here's my week. This week sucked. I didn't do
Yeah.
very well,
Uh-huh.
but here we are. Some weeks I do great. Some weeks I do bad.
Mhm.
But more and more people um, need to realize that you not only need to have goals, lots of people have goals.
Mhm.
At least they say they have goals.
Mhm.
Most people write them down,
Mhm.
but very, very, very few people share.
Mhm.
And then most importantly, if they are sharing, are they going back and reviewing how they're getting there?
Mhm.
Right. And that's what makes your page special is you're like, hey, here's my big roadmap. Here's my goal. And oh, by the way, here's this snapshot, you know, judge me if you want, but those are the actuals. So you are doing something very special, I think. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I am curious. You talked about being in personal finance since you were 18 and feeling like a little bit of an oddball.
Mhm.
Was money talked about when you were in high school? Like, did your family talk about money, or I mean, where does it come from?
Um, Not explicitly. Like
Mm.
my parents never told me, "Oh, you should open up a Roth IRA" or anything like that. They always just said, "Oh, go to school. Don't get a job because we just want you to focus on studying." Actually,
Mm.
so but I remember when I was younger, we did open up like a little kids savings account, and we had a book of quarters, and we would save
Ah,
all of our little quarters. So that maybe it started with quarters.
okay, yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, again, if your parents think about what she just said, right? An 18-year-old thinking about personal finance, maybe it started with quarters and just making that a theme, right?
Mhm.
You never know where it comes from. I could tell you that's something we missed with our daughter.
Mhm.
Was really savings and financial education and all of that.
Mhm.
We got the whole graduate with no debt and follow your passion and your dream, but we missed the money part. Ah!
Yeah, I'm already thinking like, oh, when I have kids, this is what I'm going to teach them: delayed gratification
Yeah,
taxes.
yeah, yeah. You want to teach a kid about taxes? Give him an ice cream and eat
Yeah.
30% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, this is mine. This is taxes. This is mom's tax. That's
yeah.
really cool. So, when you think about real estate investing in your Burr project, is the ultimate goal financial independence, like the fire movement and all of that? Is that, like 30 rentals by 30? Is that just a cool thing to say, or is there a comma in like and ability to retire?
Hmm. Yes, I am very much in love with the idea of financial independence, work optional.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily want to retire early, but work optional for sure.
Okay.
Right now, I have a pet parrot, right? And parrots are very intelligent creatures. And sometimes I just think to myself, it would be so nice to just stay home from work today and just spend time with my parrot. So I don't have any children yet, but my parrot is the closest thing.
Yeah. And
And
what? Okay.
also my husband, I guess.
Yeah. What? And the parrot's name is what? Sorry.
Buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Is Buddy in the room with you or no?
No, he's not. He would
He's
be very loud.
He'd be very loud. I figured. All right. Well, that's cool. How long have you had Buddy?
I've had Buddy since I was in 11th grade. So,
Oh, a
yeah,
while.
I think I've had him for almost like 9 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. I don't know that I know anybody that owns a parrot. So
Yeah.
that's
They
that's
live
pretty cool.
until 70, possibly.
Seven
Yeah.
70?
70. So it's going to be a long time. Yeah.
That's a commitment right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to put them in your will. I'm serious.
Oh, wow. All right. There we go. Something I didn't know. You got to put
Okay.
your parents in the will. That
Hmm.
makes sense. I guess you got to take care of them. That
Yeah.
does make sense. All right. So, I am curious. Actually, here's a question for you. So obviously financial independence, you get the real estate thing.
Hmm.
What are you sensing in the community right now? Because again, it's always interesting to get the eyes of somebody that's just coming in, given I'm a couple of decades
Hmm.
down the line. Are
Hmm.
you sensing everybody's doing syndications and multifamily? Is everybody trying to do their Burr projects? What do your spider webs tell you is going on in the industry right now?
To be honest, I follow a variety of different people. I
Mhm.
don't think that everybody is doing the same thing.
Okay.
Definitely, Burr is the key topic right now because it seems to be so the barrier to entry is lower than the other ones. So I feel like most people starting out are trying the Burr method. But I also follow a lot of people who are further along in their careers
Mhm.
or their investing careers.
Mhm.
So syndications are out there, multifamilies. I think maybe that's why I'm getting distracted because there's so many options.
Right. All right. Very cool. So let's talk about young folks here. What kind of advice do you have for young folks that are maybe just now on the periphery of thinking of, let's not even talk real estate. Let's just talk personal finance.
uh,
What are some suggestions or things they should look at. I'm guessing most don't even know what a Roth IRA is.
Mhm.
But what are you've been doing this a while now. What are some advice you have for them?
Okay, for sure. The advice is you need to look at your money. Yeah, or you need to think.
I like it.
um, I think part of the reason why I wanted to share my numbers and start the Instagram page is to show people my money, and hopefully they will look at their money and say, wait, where am I going wrong? What can I do better?
Mhm.
So look at your money first and see, are you living paycheck to paycheck? Do you want to live this way the rest of your life?
Yep.
And then naturally that question leads into, okay, what can I do? I can increase my income. I can learn a new skill. Once
Mhm.
that income is increased, okay, can I actually decrease any of my expenses? So budgeting, it's kind of like counting calories. You definitely don't want to do it, but when you're first starting out, you have to know, you have to track before you can.
Yeah, one of the big things that I credit our success was on really getting granular on what is a need versus a want, right?
Hmm.
When you
For sure.
understand needs versus wants, because again, I made the mistake of spending every dollar I had,
Hmm.
I made until I was 30,
Hmm.
right? And I had a tech job in the Bay Area as well. So I mean, that was just so stupid.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, once you start doing that, you can start ratcheting back. And I believe you had a post. I didn't write it down, but I saw a picture of a calendar,
Hmm.
and I think it was called, what was it, No Money Days or No Spending Days or something?
Oh,
What was
right,
that?
right, yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So a lot of people do this way more than I do, but they have kind of like a detox of spending where they count all the days that they do spend money. So for me, I had a goal of 15 no spend days. That does not count any bills, paying any bills.
Right.
So if I buy junk food, if I eat out, that counts as a spend day.
Okay.
So I just wanted to do that to kind of identify my triggers.
Uh,
And when I'm about to spend, I'm like, wait a minute, do I really need this? Because if I do buy it, then it's going to be a little X and I'm going to post it daily and people are
yeah.
going to know.
It's amazing. One of the things that I'm tracking for this 13-week period is to spend less than $1,000 on wants. And
Mhm.
you're so right, right? There's been 5 or 6 times over the last 11 weeks where I've walked to the register with something. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to report this stupid number,
Mhm.
so I'm going to go back and put it down. Yeah. Holding yourself accountable for something like that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and having it all on Instagram is actually a huge motivator. I worked out a lot more when I was tracking it and posting it every single day. And
Exactly.
that's actually another thing that I would tell people to do is talk about your goals. You need a goal if
Hmm.
you want to save, like, why? I want to save $1,000. Why? Well,
Yeah.
just keep asking why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm an accountability buddy for many of my friends, and every time they talk to me, my first question is, so did you open up a Roth IRA yet? Did you look into refinancing your student loans yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm a little bit incessant on that.
That's good. No, talk about being an accountability buddy. I don't think a lot of people will know what that is, right? But
Mhm.
yeah. Why don't you go ahead and define what it is and how you use that with your friends?
Mhm. An accountability buddy, the way I do it is I talk to my friends and they have some goal out there. And I say, okay, so when are you going to get this done by? I don't tell them when to get it done by,
Right.
but I ask them and they say, oh, I'll try to get it done by Saturday. And I send a Yoda meme and I say, do or do not, there's no try.
I like it.
Yeah, and that when you yourself put out a goal,
Yeah.
I I think that helps keeping yourself accountable. And on that day, I will actually message you and say, "So did you do it yet? Are there
Right.
any blockers? Can I help you on anything?" Because I feel very strongly about my friends taking financial action,
That's great.
and sometimes I just get so worried. I'm like, oh man, I really hope they did that because they're going to save so much money. So yeah, I do that with all my friends. So actually, that's why I wanted to start doing financial coaching because I'm doing it for free for my friends already.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's
Yeah.
talk about that. I mean, some of the things you're doing are pretty cool. And financial coaching is where I wanted to bring this to. When you think about, what you've been doing and branching out to financial coaching, what is it that you hope to do, and how can people follow you or reach out and figure out how you can help?
Mhm. Yeah, so you can check out my website at investingwithkim.com. I did not make the website myself because after a full day of programming, you do not want to do it at home. So that's what I learned.
That's
So
good.
you can check out my website there. And I kind of have different packages depending on your goals, but I might change the pricing structure a little bit to be just more a la carte.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one is debt free. That one, we will kind of go over your budget, go over your goals. I'll kind of help you come up with a budget that best meets your goals. Another one is just what goes beyond being debt free. Different types. I'm not giving out financial advice, just
Yeah.
information. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's investingwithkim.com.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. So any kind of closing comments? Again, if you're not following Investing with Kim on Instagram, you need to be. You should go check out our website, investingwithkim.com. Any closing comments, Kim?
Yes, my closing comments are just get started today. Whether it's looking at your bills, your budget, just do it today because I'm going to message all of you.
Awesome.
Everybody that watches this video, I'm going to ask, so did you do it today?
Did you do it today? I love that. Well, Kim, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for doing this and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Michael. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Have a great day.
Bye.